Hello and welcome to La Seu d'Urgell in Spain for the third ICF Slalom World Cup competition of 2012. 300 paddlers from 36 nations will be competing in 5 disciplines. That's canoe and kayak singles, as well as canoe pairs for the men. The action takes place on the legendary Parc del Segre course, which was of course the setting of the canoe slalom competition at the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games. I'm Matthew Layton, so sit back and enjoy the action. But before the racing, let's discover more about the course.
Drop, the same drop as all international course, an average of 1.6% drop, which is good for this competition. The flow, a big difference with the previous weekend. We are close to the flow we had in Cardiff, 10-11 Qmex per second. The trajectory will be tricky, more tricky than in the previous competitions. We have an alternate of double poles gates and single poles gate. Especially because of this characteristic of a riverbed narrow. They play with the rocks or the bank. And again, it's still interesting to ask the athletes to play with a range of effort duration, so they have to play with the full range of their physical abilities. And C2 will have to face a different challenge, a harder challenge, because of the room they need, the space they need to go through, especially on this tricky move. It's a good mix. Probably last weekend was clearly a C1 advantage course, but here it's a good mix. I mean, the speed downstream is important for the K1 here, and they are able to give a lot of speed.
And straight into the action with the canoe singles for men. The top 10 athletes over the last couple of days will go in reverse order of the times they had in the semi-final. Let's have a look at the top 3. And first to go, France's Tony Estanguet. Remember, double Olympic gold medal winner, and last week he obliterated the course, but today having a bit of a problem, taking 4 penalty seconds early on in the race. It's been a difficult week for Tony. He's had a couple of days in bed with a bit of a bug, but here he is trying his best. Canoe slalom, really simple. The idea is to negotiate yourself down 23 gates with the quickest time possible. If you do touch a gate, touch the green and white ones, which is for downstream, you get a 2-second penalty. If you unfortunately miss a gate, you get a whopping 50-second penalty. These are added straight away to your time. Tony Estanguet here, 6-second penalty. Not going to win on the day, but a good competition. Here in the shot, we see how Tony expertly negotiates his way on the upstream gates. The upstream gates, as you see, are red and white, and on this course of 23 gates in total, 6 of them are upstream. Second today, in his very distinctive boat, it's Britain's David Florence. He won a silver medal at the last Olympic Games. And in the first weekend in Cardiff, he obliterated the field, winning the C1 and the C2. 29-year-old David plays the bagpipes in his spare time, but here he looks for the quickest angle and tries to set him up going down the biggest drop of the course. It's called Niagara. Chooses to spin the boat. It takes a little more time, but it diminishes the risk. Now it's just a case of negotiating the last upstream gate, number 21 and 23, and sprinting as fast as he can over the line. Clear, no penalty seconds, and a very solid run. David, one of the few athletes that also competes in the C2 category. Last to go, Jordi Nemenko from Spain. At the split time, still very close in and tight round the upstream gate. Top competitor, been on the circuit for the last 20 years now. Tight round 15. This is setting himself up. Comes down the Niagara Falls. Will he spin or will he go direct? He's gone direct, which is fairly normal as he is a lefty, so he's got the good approach angle. Takes the last upstream on his onside, and now he's just a case of sprinting as fast as he can over the line. Wins the race, doesn't come much closer than that. He actually wins the race. It's a clear round by 0.04 of a second. Sometimes you see the gates move and the athlete hasn't hit them. It's very difficult for the judges, and that's often the case of water. Confirmation of the result: first Spain, second Great Britain, third France.
Well, it's amazing. Just a feeling after 20 years of paddling on the top level, and I've never achieved something like that. So I'm like in a dream right now, and having all the people here crying, screaming and all that stuff, it's like incredible.
Switching disciplines, we move on to the kayaks, the men's single kayaks. It's the final. Here, as you see, they're sitting in the boat with a two-bladed paddle. And if we look for the semi-final times, we'd expect them to be slightly faster. France are having a wonderful series so far. And here we have 22-year-old Vivian Colombier from Brittany, from Rennes. Not normally associated with top paddlers, but here we go. Vivian ranked 20th in the world. Difficult gate here as he's forced almost on top of the upstream gate 15, but comes out of it very well. Back into the mainstream. The technical challenge here is keeping the boat facing in the direction and keeping the bow dry. He now goes down Niagara Falls and takes gate 19 on with a direct approach. High risk strategy, but for him it's turned out to be correct. Just a case of paddling to the line after the last two fairly straightforward downstream gates. Sets himself up very nicely there, and a clean run. As you can see, it's mandatory for these canoeists to wear head protection and wear a buoyancy aid. Fabian Dofler from Germany seems to have been around forever. In fact, he won his World Championships in 2005. Can he keep going today? Known to be a very powerful paddler. And the kayaks they're paddling, minimum 9 kilograms of weight, 3.5 meters long, with a minimum width of 60 centimeters. How times have changed. And of course, we're on the very famous 1992 Olympic course. If you're familiar with the course, here from the drop, the Niagara Falls, there used to be a big boulder in the middle, but too many people hit it, so they've moved it out of the way. This course, by the way, is known to be rapid, narrow, and very shallow. So a lot of the competitors hitting the boats on the bottom, which of course costs time. Sprints over the line. And takes the second place. You're allowed to push off the side as long as you don't touch the gates, then you're not affected by penalties. The man of the moment, Etienne Dye from France, only weighs 65 kilograms, which show it's not all about force, it's about the power to weight ratio. He, of course, has the Olympic berth. He beat Fabien Lefebvre, who was a former champion. It's all about setting himself up. Superb technique there, round 15, getting himself back in the flow. Where's he going to take down Niagara? Again, fighting around, loses a couple of seconds, but he keeps clean. Earlier in the week, we've seen some really big names being knocked out by that gate. Last sprint, it's going to be close, but yes. takes the first place. Although on a couple of gates he was very close. Ideal setup for the Olympic Games. Got to be one of the favourites. Second in Cardiff, one in Po, and has won today. Confirmation of the result. France officially take first, Germany second, France third, with France in fourth as well.
My race today, semi-final was normal. In the final, I go faster. I have some problem in the last falls. There was a downstream on the right side, but the major part of the run was good, so I can only enjoy this result.
The Parc del Segre was built in 1991 to prepare the Olympic Games of Barcelona in '92. The Olympic Games, they take only 15 days. This is a sustainable facility that permits to keep balance. In 20 years we have balanced the budget through the recreation activities together with high top competition. In that particular venue, we are accommodated with the hydraulic system of the water with a reversible power station of 1 megawatt that permits to pump water when the river is quite dry and permits to produce electricity when the river is too deep.
Now chance for the women to show us what they can do. It's the canoe singles for women. Became a demonstration sport 3 years ago at the World Championships, but not yet in the Olympics. On course. Of course, if you're a fan of canoeing, you'll instantly recognize the boat. It's Kateřina Hoskova from the Czech Republic. She is the current world champion. Very compact, but puts together a very fluid style. This is a real technical test for the women. They're running exactly the same course as the much more powerful men. But she shows while she's the world champion, it's all about taking the right line. As you see, a lot more cautious coming down the 1.5 meter drop. Spins the boat. This is a tactic. Normally cuts down a risk, but the current is just too strong. She takes a 2-second penalty touch on gate 19. So far, 4 penalty seconds, but she is putting together a very strong time. Kateřina Hoskova, much better than the rest of the field so far, with one competitor to go. Takes a second place. In action, Caroline Loire from France, knows the course very well. She won last week and she is the European champion. She's the fastest in the semi-finals. Using the force of the water, there's no point in fighting against it. A very quick turn down the tricky gate 15 and just needs to set herself up. Very shallow water here. Quite a few of the athletes have been touching the bottom. And if you look closely at Caroline, she frequently switches paddling hands. Gives her an angle. And as with all the women today, she spins around gate 19, cutting down the risk. Slightly loses touch with the last upstream gate, but only 2-second penalties, so she should be in with it. As confirmed, a delighted Caroline Loire for the second week in a row. Although she won't be going to the Olympics because it's not an Olympic sport, she shows that she's top of the game. Confirmation of result. As often, France first, Czech Republic second, third is Spain.
My run today was very nice, very sweet. I take pleasure because you know it's a course easy than Po, and I managed to qualify first of all, then to make the final, and in the final I made a nice run. Yes.
Continuing with the action and staying with the women. This time it's the kayak singles and a few surprises. Maya-Lynn Schure, who's won for the last couple of weeks, was knocked out. Karina Kulner, the world champion, was also knocked out. And so we're down to the last 10 ladies in the final. And in action from the Czech Republic is Kateřina Kudjová. Very strong as a junior, very strong as an under 23. Can she make it at this level? Very fluid, round the upstream gate 15. Needs to keep as close to the rock as she can. And then sets herself up for the Niagara Falls. 1.5 meters, needs to get around through the eddy. Loses a bit of a time on the spin there. But still within reach. And takes an honourable third position with only 2 seconds of penalties. As you can see, it's all about keeping the bow dry and setting yourself up with the perfect line. Now for France, ranked number 19 in the world, it's Emily Fair. Emily so far had a good year. She's actually qualified the boat, and so she will be competing in the Olympics. 29-year-old was a bit disappointed last week with her 9th position in Po. But she's very quick at the halfway stage. Can she hold it together? Makes the upstream gate look easy. This is a very fast course, so every half a second can make a big difference. Sensibly spins the boat round to get a wide berth on 19. Now it's just a case of avoiding to be washed into the wall. The current has a tendency to try and throw you into the wall, but she's too strong for that. Comes through and would take the initial first place. And the happy victor of today, it's 24-year-old Urza Krajel from Slovenia. Very closely, just missed out on the Olympic place, so she'll be trying to prove a point here. She had the fastest time in the semi-finals, even with 4 penalty seconds. Quick in the split, quick round the upstream. And confident into the big Niagara drop. The tactic today clearly was to have a clean run and just hold it together. That's better than most of the men did on the upstream, and delighted that's the first World Cup win. Confirmation of the result. Slovenia take gold, followed by France and the Czech Republic.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I had a good day today, and even the past weekend at the previous World Cup. and I'm very happy. I was having fun training here, and I was having fun racing. And I mean, it's my first win at the World Cup races, and I'm really so happy.
A sport for all the family.
Did you manage to stick to your initial plans?
Now, the last event we're going to show you today doesn't get more exciting than this. It's the canoe doubles for men. The challenge, it's a very narrow course, and with these boats being 4.2 meters long, it's difficult to get both athletes through the course. In action, Robert Berling and Thomas Becker from Germany. As you can see, the front man supplies the power. The back man has the difficult task of making sure you can steer the boat. But they negotiate themselves very well around the upstream gate 15. So far, no penalties. Interesting to see how they set them up for the big Niagara drop. Spinning the boat, they had a few problems. It's very close to the edge. They actually touched the side. It's not a problem. It's, well, apart from losing time. Going slightly low on gate 21. That would lose them a second or so. But a clear run, not easy to do on this course. Takes years of practice to get the coordination together so they each know what the other's going to do at any situation. They're not brothers, they're cousins. It's the Scanters from Slovakia. Ladislav in the front, Peter in the back. 32 and 33 years old. Triple European champions. Have been on the podium in the World Championships. Perhaps they've been in the shadow of the Hochschnorner brothers for the last few years, but they certainly know how to get down a course. And if we look here, the 2-second penalty given was actually taken off later because, of course, it was the water that moved the post. The only time you get a penalty is it's when your boat, your body, or your paddle touches. But very, very difficult to see in the day of light. The reason it's changed is that the video judge can have a closer look later. Struggling a little bit round gate 19. And they're setting themselves up nicely. You see at the back, Peter pushes off the side. Of course it's legal. And that would be fast enough to put them in the second place. Incredibly difficult to get those two through the narrow gates. And now on to the form team of the moment. They won last week. 29-year-old Pierre Labarelle and 28-year-old Nicolas Peschier in the stern. These have both had excellent results in the singles. Been together now several years. Known for their very fast, dynamic paddling. Again, they've been awarded a phantom 2-second penalty because of the water touching the gate. Approaching the Niagara Falls. That's how to do it. A quick spin, not losing any time. And now it's just a case of holding on. Down, round the last upstream gate. 6 upstream gates, 17 downstream, and a bit of a 15-meter sprint at the end. Coming over the line. And with the phantom penalty taken off, that would be enough to give them first place. Second time in a week. Labarelle and Peschier take gold for France, the Scanter cousins in second, and Germany with third.
At the semi-final, we haven't found the good width for the run, and for the final we try to go faster with more width. The first part was a little bit hard, we are under the water, but after we take speed and we finish. I think we make a good finish.
Thanks for watching. That's it today. Remember the Olympic Games, and then for the World Cup, we join again at the end of August in Prague.